Hello everybody and welcome to WOOGIES Corner. My name is Doug Jack. I've been a musician and a mechanic pretty well my whole life. My friends, my family, they've been listening to me to tell stories about my daring do adventures and on the road and in the bush for years and years, and now the time has come. It's your turn. I think we're going to start today's episode with a little bit of information about Jerry Reed. I don't know if everybody remembers Jerry Reed. I'm sure some of the viewers do, for sure. You know, like, well, he's got the gold mine, I got the shaft. Split it all down the middle. She got the better half. Anyway. Jerry Reed was one of the most underrated guitar players, singers, songwriters, actors. He had it all. And it's amazing that he didn't become bigger than he really did. But you know, he said, I lived good. He said, I lived down in Nashville, had a little house and a sweet lady. He said, I had all the money I needed. I had a lot of fun. So he didn't really regret it much. But you know, he was an amazing guy. I tell you what, he was one of the most underrated actors, singers, guitar players, writers. He did some amazing stuff, and he was the guy that drove the semi truck and Smokey and the Bandit with Burt Reynolds. But he had great songs, you know. She got the gold mine, I got the shaft, and all that stuff. This is a cute little story I want to tell. I actually met Jerry one time. I was playing in Reno years ago, and I ran across him and didn't get to know him, but I met him. Neat guy, I'll tell you, he was something else. But here's the story. I heard him tell this story years ago, and I guess it's a true story. It came right from Jerry himself. He was living in Nashville back in the 50s, and doing whatever work he could do. He was a pretty decent guitar player even in those days. And so anyway, he had been down to Memphis, to Sun Records, to Sam Phillips' studio down there, and he had done some kind of really fancy guitar intro thing for somebody that Sam had under contract. They were doing a demo. And anyway, he goes back home to Nashville, and he's out near a local lake, or on the local lake. He's out fishing. Summer day, he's out in the boat, he's out fishing, laying back. He hears from the shore, Jerry! Jerry! It's his wife calling from the shore. Jerry! What? What? Phone call for you, phone call from Memphis. Okay, so he said, in those days you didn't want to miss any phone calls. You know, he didn't have call forwarding and all that. So he rode on back into shore and gets onto a phone. And it was Sam Phillips. He gets Sun Records down in Memphis. He says, Jerry, he said, we got a problem down here. We need you to come down here and help us out. We got a bit of a problem. And yeah, we got this guy that I got in here. His name is Elvis Presley. He said, we're trying to do some work. And he said, we're going to use that song that you did for, I can't remember the name of the first guy, but that Jerry Reed had done this lick. So anyway, Sam Phillips said, you're going to have to get down here and help us out because we can't. The guitar player, Elvis, nobody knows how to play this lick. We can't, and we want to use that lick. We want to use that song. And Jerry's sitting there listening to this, and he said, well, he said, I'll tell you what, son. He said, there's only one way that you're ever going to get that guitar lick. And I'll tell you what it is right now, boy. He said, you're going to have to hire my ass, get me down to Memphis. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to do the lick, because I'll tell you what, he'll never figure it out. I got some special tunings and some other stuff going on there. He'll never figure that out. So you want that guitar lick, you're going to have to hire me to do it. Sam said, well, okay, Jerry, get your ass on down here, then let's do this thing. So anyway, he goes down to Nashville and he meets Elvis for the first time, and yeah, they do the lick, they do the song, and he did some more work for Sam after that on some other things. I'd like to finish off this episode of Woogie's Corner with a little musical tribute to one of my great heroes of the music scene back in the 60s and the 70s, and the one and only great Canadian icon, Mr. Gordon Lightfoot. This man is just, he's done so many wonderful things, wrote so many great songs, and he's still with us, thank goodness for that. Anyway, he was living in LA, it'd be 64, I guess, and he's writing some stuff and, you know, trying to make a buck and get by, but every once in a while he'd get homesick. So he'd go out to LA International Airport and he'd sit there and watch the jets, you know, land. He'd sit there thinking about his hometown. And anyway, one day he goes home from one of those outings. He got thinking about this, and he sat down and he wrote this song. And it was got covered by Peter, Paul, and Mary. I think Ian and Sylvia Tyson picked it up. The Grateful Dead even did it later on. Anyway, 1964, the early morning rain. And Gordon said years later, he said, you know, this is probably the first time it sort of dawned on me that, yeah, maybe I can make a living doing this. He said, he's got some money, I got a check in the mail. Wow, this was unheard of. Anyway, early morning rain. In the early morning rain, got $1 in my hand and an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. I'm a long way from home, Lord, I miss my loved one so. In the early morning rain, I've got no place to go. In the early morning rain by the great Gordon Lightfoot. And anyway, I really want to thank you all for tuning in for this episode of Woogie's Corner. And invite you to write your comments down on the little thing below the screen and subscribe. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about songs that you might want to hear, or some history items, or anything that crosses your mind. So anyway, this has been a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. So anyway, on behalf of myself, Doug Jack, and Woogie's History Corner, we'll see you down the road.